Welcome back in, everybody. This is the Blue Chip Breakdown, and we are your host, Bull P and Timmy G. And we are actually, I know that, obviously our volunteers just got done killing Kent State, but we're watching UGA right now struggling to beat a terrible Kentucky team. There's only 9 seconds left, and Georgia's up by 1 point, just trying to see if some type of a miracle could possibly happen. But really, man, just kind of, watching back and forth between our volunteers in this game, I was like, man, Georgia, I'm telling you, they are not the same ball club. We were just talking about that one off air. But we appreciate y'all so much for joining us. Y'all, please do us a really big favor. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as soon as y'all come in. And I know that most of y'all probably are watching this game as well. But I need to get y'all's thoughts real quick on this game, just because we won it, what was it, 71-0?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. 71-0. And, I think that we looked solid. I feel like it's some stuff that we still need to get cleaned up. But what are y'all's thoughts? Timmy G, I want for you to go first.
I mean, we look good, but I agree with you. Obviously, there was things that we could clean up. It wasn't a perfect game, but man, think about that. Like last game versus NC State, Nico didn't have a perfect game. He didn't have a good game. We beat him. We beat the brakes off those guys. Yeah. Like we still haven't put together our best game. Yeah. And maybe it's because they're playing Kent State, and you know how it is to get up for an opponent that, let's be honest, they were the worst team in FBS, right?
Right.
Like, hey man, I was pretty impressed with the crowd. The crowd hung around way longer than I expected. That kind of shocked me a little bit, but we got to see a lot of people play. There's a lot to clean up. All I got to say is keep Nico healthy, because things go downhill a little bit after him. But yeah, hey, all in all, man, we won, and we did what we were supposed to do. We didn't come out. We didn't play flat. We did what we were supposed to do. So get ready, because game day next week is going to be in Norman. I knew it was going to happen. They're already talking the hype, man. They're going to pump this thing up, and it's
that's going to be a big one.
That's going to be a big one.
Yeah,
that's going to be wild. I'm ready.
Yeah, man. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I feel the same way. I felt like, kind of like saying we came out a little bit flat. It's tough to get up for a team that is literally the worst team in the freaking country. It's tough. I didn't love that first defensive series. I texted my brother during the game. I said, man, we look awful. We gave up 9 yards to those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like the way we looked that first drive. And then, I felt like there was a few times when we had a little bit of a hard time running the ball. Like, we didn't get enough of a push. I know, obviously, we had a lot of big holes, but there were a few plays when I felt like we just wanted to run it and we didn't really have success. Only a handful, but just a couple of things, like you said, things we need to clean up. Didn't have Lance Hurd today. I'm not sure if Carrick went or not. I know I saw a lot of Jackson Lampley and
I don't remember seeing Carrick at all. And you know what, really, like that's the whole thing, is that we was playing with kind of a makeshift offensive line. Not really, but at the same time, we didn't have our true 5 starters in. And I just feel like you could tell that. Now, obviously, we were still very dominant. I think that we came out and we showed that we can step up to this sort of a challenge, because it is a different type of challenge, playing up against a team that that you're going to blow out. And you have all this time that you got to get ready for them. You're sitting inside of the hotel room all day long. I think that we did a good job of coming out and executing and putting the game away early. What do we have, like 37 points in the first quarter? So, give them a ton of credit for that. Like, we don't mean to be super critical, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not like that. But, there was a couple of things I'll say. It did kind of feel like maybe Nico wasn't as comfortable, or I don't even know if that's the correct word. He didn't look as sharp and as crisp as he did versus UT Chattanooga. It was a little bit of the same stuff that we saw versus NC State that I'm a tad bit concerned with. Now, he did make some phenomenal passes, but, he's still kind of going through that, learning how to be the starter, right? Like, he's still kind of growing. Hopefully, everything will clean up, because next weekend, Timmy G, like you just said, we got Oklahoma, and this is a big one. Everyone's going to be riled up for this. This is when I think Nico will be at his best. So, definitely not trying to paint this bad picture like we went out there and played bad when we just won 71-0. And we could have put up 200 points in this game, right? So,
yeah. Well, think about this, man. 543 yards of offense in the first half. That's insanity.
Yeah.
And that wasn't all just like wide open guys running down the field. That, like, I don't even know, like, we had 2 backs with 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Like,
almost 3.
Almost 3.
He had like 96 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the stats, y'all. So for passing, we had 284 yards. Nico went 10 of 16 for 173 yards with 1 touchdown. Again, I think that those are pretty solid numbers. Obviously, we wasn't opening up everything. I feel like maybe he could have got the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. Maybe he could have, decided to run just a little bit quicker. But again, it just goes back to the offensive line, probably giving up some pressure before he's used to. So, I mean, I honestly speaking, this is, maybe the one thing that I could point to Coach Heupel and say, I'm a little bit mad that you did this. Like, don't put Nico out there without our 5 guys, not in a game like this. But hey, look, everything ended up working out, so it's all good. Now on down to the rush. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about Gaston Moore. Looked really sharp coming out, right? He went 4 for 4, 94 yards, through two touchdowns. I think that Jake looked, pretty good. Maybe not as much passing, but same thing there. Offensive line wasn't really holding up for him, but he's a really good athlete. Looking forward to him as the starter. Now let's talk about these rushing numbers. We had 458 yards rushing, y'all, with 6 touchdowns on the ground. This is about what we probably should, or I don't even know. That's a whole lot of yards. That's almost 500 yards rushing. So that's pretty crazy. Obviously, man, Bishop, he looked phenomenal. 7 carries, 17.1 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. D-Samp looked great also, 4 touchdowns for him. I think that Peyton Lewis really, he's starting to look a whole lot better. Nico looked, I would say that he looked good running. Just got to be careful, right? Like, there was some times I was like, dude, he's taking some shots. Get him out of the game. And I could feel that he was kind of hurting too. Yeah, slide, bro. Slide. Like, you got to start doing that. And then who else do we got in here? So Khalifa Keith. Now this can't be all the stats. I guess maybe they just stopped taking stats because I know that Patrick Will came in and so did Hunter Barnes, and I think that they look pretty. I think they look pretty solid running too. But what's y'all's thoughts? Just just with the offense, and I'll pull it down to the receiver numbers as well.
Yeah. Sweet. I'll go ahead. So I mean, I kind of agree with what you said, Bull, about Nico. Didn't look as sharp. Now, I mean, honestly, didn't look bad. I mean, it didn't look bad at all. We're just saying, from week 1, what we saw was like everything was just absolutely perfect. We saw week 2, we saw that, hey, he is human, he can make mistakes. And then, like I said, even the interception he threw last week, that first one he threw, I admire the pass and the guts to throw that ball that he threw. I thought it was a really good pass. Just a little bit high, but this week, I'd say probably my biggest thing. I feel like now we've had 3 or 4 games sample size to see who Nico really is. And I feel like my big takeaway, maybe it's because it was Kent State. To me, I think he's a little bit, almost too comfortable in the pocket. There's just times when he's just kind of standing there patting it. And now he had time. And it does seem like he does have that sixth sense where he kind of always seems to know when that guy's coming from his blind side. He pretty much always seems to get the ball out or escape, which is, but you kind of hold your breath, whenever he's kind of standing back there for as long as he does. But I think that he's a stud. I mean, the deep ball to Brazel, just a thing of beauty. 65 yards on the money. Had some good throws. I saw him. He forced one, I think, to Brew, scrambling to his right, kind of the sideline, forced one back across his body into like triple coverage. Ended up falling harmlessly to the ground. But that's something we kind of know of Nico, right? We know he's a guy that's confident. He's going to sling it, and hey, we always say, I'd rather have a guy that's going to go out there and throw some picks if I know that the flip side of that is that he's going to also throw some touchdowns in some tight windows as well. And I think Nico, he is that guy. He's going to throw some picks, guys. I think he's going to throw more than what Henry Hooker threw 2022. I think he'll have 3 picks that year. He's going to throw probably, maybe close to double-digit picks, but he's going to be up there 50, 60 touchdowns too, which is freaking crazy to think about. But he's a guy. He's an absolute guy. He ran the ball well. Deshaun Bishop looked great. Didn't have Cam Selton today, who I think also will look great tonight. But I think overall it was good to get, Dane Davis, Jackson Lampley, some of those kind of second-tier guys some reps. And then, of course, as well, getting Gatson Moore some reps, knowing we're going to need him. I think Mark Lingo looked really good. His stats don't really show it, but I think, I know he had a couple, he kind of threw away at a guy's feet a couple times, and then that pass in the end zone to the tight end. It was a good pass, just was a little bit too much heat on that one, but I think he looked good. He's tough, athletic. But overall, man, I think the offense looked sharp for the most part. It's tough to complain. He put up 71 points.
Right.
He could have put up 100.
Oh yeah, easy. So
easy.
Yeah. So Timmy G, what do you think about the offense? Just kind of going through these numbers and all that type of stuff. Is anyone that just kind of stood out to you? Is anyone who shocked you? Or
Shoot, we forgot about Mike
Yeah,
Matthews too.
yeah, right. That's you just stole it, Pete.
Oh, my
That's
bad.
where I was going. No, man. That's that. Look, we think alike because that's the first thing I thought. Because that's what I wanted to see. Honestly, I was hoping we'd get to see something from them get Braylon some touches, Staley. But
yeah,
Mike Matthews is going to be a problem.
yeah.
He's going to be a problem. Give that guy some time. He's going to be He's going to be a problem. Tight ends look great. Kitzelman, Stays, all the tight ends. Ethan Davis, they look good. Running game looked great. I am so impressed with Deshaun Bishop. He's a true freshman, isn't he?
No, he's a
redshirt
freshman now. Yeah.
Okay, I started saying if he's true freshman, that is mind blowing.
Yeah.
But the way he looks, he runs. It's almost like they went and cloned D. Samp. I mean, when you watch the way he runs, the way he follows the blockers, and the way he's patient and his vision and his burst, that guy's going to be really good. And D. Samp is a problem. D. Samp is a problem. The rushing game is a problem. The passing game is a problem. If you're a defensive coordinator, you got to be. What do I do? What do I stop?
Yeah.
You got to pick something. So what are you going to pick? Because they can beat you in 20 different ways.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
And it's a real quick kind of interesting note that I noticed. I thought maybe Brazel or Thornton or somebody was hurt, but I don't know if you guys noticed. Nimrod was the first receiver out there. It was him and Burrow. So I think that's cool to see that this staff is going to actually rotate these guys, give other guys opportunity. So that's good to see.
Yeah, we're seeing things that we've never seen from this offense before, and they're doing it every week. I think that just shows you. Heupel probably wanted to do this all along. He just didn't have the tools in the tool shed, right?
Right.
I mean, because think about it. When he first got here, 23 people transferred out, something like that.
It was somewhere in the 20s.
The cupboard was pretty bare. He was left with some really good pieces, but I mean, that's a lot of people to lose. But what he's doing, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean 1,000%. So yeah, I was happy for sure just to see so many people getting their opportunities and also playing well with it. So that's big, and I definitely think that Mike Matthews is going to be a star. I think that we'll utilize him some next weekend just because he hasn't played that much. There's not a whole lot of film on him, but he can definitely create some mismatch problems. And he's tough, just like everybody else on this whole team. It's a whole lot of dogs, you know what I'm saying? There's so many people that just play he's about
big.
6'1".
How big is Mike? He looks huge out there. How big is he?
He's like 6'1", probably about like 190 now, something like that.
Wow, he looks bigger than that.
I think he's about 205 now. He looks big, and I tell you, Brandon Staley looked thick too out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, dude. They are hitting those weights. They are eating good. They got really good. They got money. So it's definitely not how it used to be. But I mean, we're going to be just fine. I think from top to bottom. I think that Kobe Thomas also flashed. Now, we're not going to be able to see none of the stats from our defense, but I think that Kobe Thomas looked really good playing his safety. Both our corners, I was
saying that hit, that targeting, that's textbook.
Just keep your head up and you're good, man, because he brought the wood to that guy, man. That's – but I like to see that. I don't mean to say I like to see the targeting, but I like to see a guy playing with bad intentions. And that's what these guys are doing, man. They're letting you know they're there. Yeah, and I tell you what, if you're a receiver and you get hit like that, you will remember next play, man.
Yeah, for sure. He's a dog.
So I think that our defense played well. Especially linebackers looked really good getting into their run fits. And I'm just talking about like with our guys, the people who we are expecting to like rotate in. Outside of that, you can tell with some of those younger players, they still have some things to learn. But this was the perfect game just to get them out there to just, kind of like learn on the fly. We have several, I feel like, coaching points to get ready for Oklahoma. I kind of want to flip the page there some, if y'all want to talk about them just a little bit. I don't know if y'all got a chance to watch them at all or
I did.
Have any thoughts. So what are y'all's first thoughts with Oklahoma and maybe how we can match up versus them?
Their offense did not good, if you ask me.
Go ahead.
It struggled at times. Defense, I think they're, I've been listening to a couple of these Oklahoma podcasts because, I have time with Kent State. It's not like I've been focusing on Kent State all week. We're fans. We can skip ahead, right?
Right.
Facts.
I listen to these guys, and you can tell, man, they're concerned. They're concerned with what they're seeing out of the offense. They're not seeing things that they think they should see. And I thought Tulane could beat them, but obviously Tulane was a little outmatched. I mean, they just couldn't do some of the things, but they still gave them a game.
Right.
But we're not Tulane. And
Right.
but hey, listen, Norman's going to be different. Like, we haven't played in that kind of atmosphere yet. We played a neutral site game, which, if you want to look at it, it looked like, honestly, Tennessee looked like it was probably outnumbered at that.
Yeah,
I think so.
But you know what? It won't matter if you drop 21 on them in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? That shuts up any crowd. I'm not saying we're going to do that. Can we do that? We can. I can't wait for it, man. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good test, and we'll see. But I'll tell you what. I bet you, if you're Oklahoma, you're nervous about Josh Heupel coming home.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they are obviously nervous, but P, what are your takeaways from watching them earlier today?
Heck, we knew it was going to be a barn burner. I mean, Tulane's not a bad team. Anytime you play in those Louisiana schools, they're going to give you a fight, and they gave them a fight. I think, just like you said, Timmy G, the offense continues to be a little bit of a head scratcher. I don't know if it's the O-line issue or, O-line. I think they got 5 new guys up front from last season. I think they had a couple receivers out, but I think at least one of those guys was back today, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure what it is. I mean, Jackson Arnold, he's a guy, you watch him, you see him make some throws, you're like, wow, that's amazing. But then you'll see some other plays. I know he had a couple, he was just forcing in the coverage, just very ill-advised throws, which you can say the same about Nico, right? But I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but their offense is not clicking the way it should be. But their defense, I think their defense is legit. I think it is a good defense. That's going to be a good test for us. We'll kind of see how they try to play us. I got a feeling they're going to freaking try to see if they can man up. I think they're going to see if they can man up and load the box and give us a chance to have some big plays over top. Like you said, Timmy G, I think we may hop out on them early. We may get up 21-0 on those guys. And then they say, okay, let's go to some soft shell, maybe force them to be patient. Or I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the game plan is. We'll kind of watch film and stuff this week and kind of think see what we think they're going to do. But I'm not impressed, man. I think we should win this one big. I think the crowd noise is the big X factor.
Yeah.
Just because, pretty much every play when we're not going super fast, you see Nico talking to people, checking stuff out, checking stuff. I know we have the in-helmet communication, so we'll see if that helps at all. But I think the crowd noise, it could be a factor. So we'll see how Nico responds, his first true road test.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? It's funny because Kent State really is the first team that we played up against. I feel like all season that ran a little bit of a lighter cover. So they were running cover 4, but cover 4, although it is supposed to be this deep coverage, it can turn into man. And that that was our first opportunity to really be able to stretch the field out vertically like we could. So it'll be interesting to see what Oklahoma wants to do, just because I feel like every game that I've watched them play, I haven't seen them man up. I've seen them playing some version of a zone. So it's mostly been cover 3. Now, have they been keeping it basic because they knew that they had us coming up, and will they have some wrinkles? I'm sure that they will. But I feel a lot more confident now about us being able to pass the ball on them, because their secondary does not look, especially with those safeties. I mean, I saw them having some trouble today. So I do feel like we can, I think that we can have success with our wide receivers, especially with them being bigger, because they've got one safety. He's like 5'10". But most of their guys are like 6 feet and up. But I think that we can throw those jump balls, deep balls, and I think we can put up a whole bunch of yards. Now, something else that I noticed is they went to a 4-3 defense versus the 12 personnel some today. If they do that versus us, then we're going to throw for 500 yards. Like, we're going to kill them, because we'll get them isolated with the linebacker and Squirrel White. Or I think that, our tight ends it's a mismatch nightmare for any of their backers. I don't think that they're going to play well out in space as far as pass coverage goes. But whenever you talk about them just kind of like getting into their run fits and all that, I think that they're great at that. I think that they've got a good stout interior to their front 4 on defense. But I mean, their pass rushers don't really scare me coming off of the edges. So I think that, so far, I had to go back and, really finish watching that film from today, but I feel like we could have a whole lot of success in this game.
Are they a 3-3-5? Is that their base?
No. So they're a base. They're a 4-man front base, and they usually play nickel. Today was the first game that I saw them move into that 4-3, but I also saw them move to like a bear front. That's typically going to be on some short yardage situations. How do we handle that? Because they do have some strong guys on the inside. How can we counteract that? So that'll also be interesting. But I think that we will see more 12 personnel from our team this week or next weekend, like we did last weekend. And I think that we will be able to put up points on them. And then just looking at their offense, they do a lot of different. Well, they do a lot of the same stuff out of different formations. That's what I've been seeing. But the offensive line, it looks like it's gelled a little bit better. But I think that that's still going to be an issue for them, especially versus our front. Now, also just going back to our game today, I didn't think that we got nearly enough pressure on Kent State's quarterback. I just don't. I don't know what was going on there, but it looked like they were able to actually kind of like stop our guys some. So maybe we're just kind of taking plays off. I don't know. But did y'all also notice that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he had way too much time.
Yeah,
way too much time. I mean, there's a couple plays we got back there, but he had way too much time. And then you turn on NC State and they're in a barn burn with Louisiana Tech, and so you say, maybe they are that bad of a team.
That was wild. That was wild. Somebody texted me that, and I was like, "What?"
I know. That's like,
hey man, today was a wild day for college football. Absolutely wild. Florida State is the worst team in college football.
Golly, they're horrible.
Is DJU that bad that he makes every team in his own that much worse?
Bro, here's the thing. Like, I didn't realize this today. Didn't Florida State hire him from Memphis, Norvell?
Yeah, I think
they hired him from Memphis. Listen. They hired him from Memphis, brought him there, then paid Memphis $1.4 million to come down there and beat their head in.
That's ridiculous.
I love it. I love college football. Hey, this is the second time since 2021 that Mike Norvell has went 0-3 to start the season.
Dang,
bro, you are cooked.
Yeah, you know what though?
The crazy thing is, they're in that A&M situation. They just extended Homeboy's contract for forever. It doesn't run out to like 2030. Except for guess what? They ain't got that A&M money.
Right. Yeah. Nah, that was a huge mistake, man. Yeah, that was a real big mistake. So yeah, I mean, look, Florida State fans, they are going through it right now. I mean, I don't feel bad for them or nothing, but yeah, they are going through it. I'm gonna read off some of these chats here real quick, y'all. So I did pull these up earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and read them off. So from Carlos Negro says, "Go Big Orange! Thanks for the post game report. Now time to get down to business. No doubt, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in." Johnny Cole says Peyton Lewis looked good. Yeah, I think he looked a lot better. He still needs to get a little bit more. He needs to work on his vision. I think that maybe the game is moving a little bit fast for him at this point. Yeah, but I mean, he's gonna. Hopefully, things will start to slow down for him because we will need him at some point this season. Also, from D. Taylor, who is a member of the channel, thank you so much for being a member of the channel. Says that Nico was a little wild tonight. Yeah, I don't think that he had his best outing by any means. Hopefully, he will improve a whole lot throughout this next week because we got a big one coming up. Franklin Richfield says, "Wow, feeling good about the Oklahoma game now. That's great to hear. I think that we should feel pretty confident about it." Dirty Higgins, thank you for being a member of the channel. Dirty Higgins says Sampson is on pace to break Travis Stevens' single-season touchdown record of 17. Man, that would be crazy if he does. And I could definitely see him doing it.
He's got to have about 10 by now.
I wonder how many he had. He had 4.
He had 4 week 1 too, I think. He might have. He had a bunch week 1. He had a bunch week 1 too.
He's going to end up setting a record that, I mean, who knows if that'll ever get touched again? You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll freaking look it up real quick.
Well, as long as Heupel's here, who knows? And the way he's starting to stack talent, like, oh Lord, things are getting ready to get crazy. So
no doubt. So Dirty Higgins also says Matthew's touchdown catch looked nice. Yeah, man. I think that he really. I mean, that was a phenomenal catch. I know that we haven't spent a whole lot of time on that. But I'll probably talk about that in my post game show that I will be doing tomorrow, where I can kind of like watch the film. I'll have several plays that I'll just kind of talk about with y'all that really stood out to me. And then right here we've got Dwayne Mitchell says the counters and trap blocking done by our offensive line is impressive. I would like to see more medium range passes. Yeah, I would also like to see that, and I do believe that we're keeping some stuff kind of like close to the vest because we know we got SEC play coming up. We really expected to win these three. NC State, it was kind of I wouldn't even call that a toss-up, but we knew that would be more of a game. But after we're able to, run the ball down their throats, not have to show too much, we knew we wasn't going to show too much inside of this game. So I'm also just kind of like holding out hope that once the offense does totally open back up next weekend, that Nico will look a lot sharper because we are going to call plays to his strengths and to our entire offensive strengths. And then we'll also have our entire offensive line back. So, I don't think there's any cause for concern. Let's get to a few more. We've got UT Bad Gumps.
Yes,
thank you for being a member of the channel. Says Georgia played like trash. Go Big Orange. So listen, man, we've been telling y'all that Georgia is overrated. They are overhyped. This is only the first time, right, that we're seeing them playing in a close game. We saw what South Carolina did to that terrible team last weekend. Right? I mean, they're horrible. And there's no reason that Georgia is even close in this game with them. But this is not going to be the last time that Georgia either has a scare or loses. I told you, I think that they will lose at least 2 games this season. But I think that, there is a world where they lose 4 to 5 games. They are not the same type of a team anymore.
I think there's a world where they at least lose 3. I can count 3 now. Alabama, when they play them, that's their next game. They've got a bye week, but then they've got to play Alabama. Is that? I don't know if that's at Georgia or at Alabama. No, that's going to make
that one is in Tuscaloosa. They have to go to Austin. They have to go to Bama. They have to go to Oxford. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where they're playing Auburn at. I know that Auburn doesn't look good right now, but they didn't look good last season, and they almost beat them last year. I think that they'll have something, maybe in store for them because I'm starting to feel like Georgia's team this year might be worse than the team was last season. You know what I mean? Like they don't look the same 100%, at all.
Because they don't have that kind of offensive production. They can't. They're not just driving down the field every time. They're not. Look, they were making mistakes in that Kentucky game that I didn't think were very Georgia-like. Like bad snaps, dude putting it on the ground, just a lot of things. It just looks sloppy. Hey, them boys are too busy out there drag racing. They ain't got time for this.
I know. Another one.
They're down there playing GTA in Athens. Like,
for real. Hey, that's real talk though. That's exactly what they're doing. But yeah, so I think that Georgia is in for a long season. Yeah, man, somebody needs to do something. It's like people just, people just like watching them wreak havoc on Athens. So also from UT Bad Gump says Lewis needs to be patient and drive the hole. He hesitated on 3rd down on that drive and didn't get first. Yeah. He definitely does, but that's something that I feel like will come with time, just because he ran in a different type of an offense when he was in high school. He's going to have to get acclimated to running in this sort of an offense where everything is a lot more spread out and all that type of stuff. But trust when I tell you that is coming, I think, at some point this season. Now, we've also got Daka Sensei says, potential poll question, is Hypo secretly happy about a mediocre 2023 season if the contrast to a dominant 2024 campaign guarantees Nico the Heisman? So I think that he would love for Nico to get the Heisman, but I can tell you right now, I don't think anyone inside of that building would trade anything for a national title. That's everybody's goal, right? And I mean, just because, look, Nico maybe could win the Heisman this season if he turns it on, especially in SEC play. But really, I mean, the Heisman thing is probably, it could be more for like next season, right? Yeah. Like maybe, but I want to win national championships. I know that Hypo does. I know that Nico does. That means a whole lot more. And hey, guess what? We can do both. So I think that, all that good stuff is definitely coming. But I think that was an excellent question. So UT Bad Gumps also says Georgia had too many players doing a weekend in jail. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, all right. So we got caught up with the chat, but yeah. So just kind of going back to the Oklahoma game, y'all. I feel very confident. I think that I had started to talk about their offense. The offensive line, it definitely has some issues. They started to gel a little bit better, but I don't think that the biggest thing for Oklahoma is going to be to try to establish a running game. I don't think that they'll be able to run versus our defense. Kenan Pili is playing tremendous. I think that Arion Carter looked better. I think JT looked better. Jalen Smith is, he still looks strong. Edwin Spillman came in. He looked pretty good. Obviously, he's a freshman. He's going to have to work on some stuff. Caleb Perry looked a little bit rusty just from like that first watch. But as I watched again, I'm going to watch him a lot closer and see, hey, is he going to be ready? Is he kind of rusty from taking that 1 week off last weekend, or, what the heck's going on? Or was he just not motivated because he was running, like with the kind of like walk-on guys and all that. So we'll see with that. But I just think that from top to bottom, if you look at the way that our safeties have been feeling, right? Turrenton, Brooks, Thomas, all those guys are feeling great. So I think that we're going to be fine versus what Oklahoma likes to do in that running game. I also feel like Jackson Arnold, man, if he tries to run between those tackles up against this defense with Keenan Pili and Arion Carter in there, I mean, he needs to slide.
Because he'll do it a couple times, then he'll change his tune.
Real quick, dude.
Hey,
because they ain't playing.
If Pili comes downhill on you, like you're in trouble.
Hey, look, he has one really big like kill shot. It seems like every single game. So we're gonna see what happens. But I feel very confident. Now we'll see how many wide receivers can they get back. I think that they'll also try to use their tight ends a lot in this game. I think that they've had the most success once they kind of utilize them. But I love the way that our linebackers could cover them. We'll see, because some of it could have been from Tim Banks' scheme in previous seasons when the linebackers or when the tight ends seemed to have just, like gotten open way too often. But I think that most of that was really just because we didn't have the proper athletes playing at backer, playing at safety. But now that we take a step forward with both of those groups, I feel, man, I feel really confident so far with how this game is going to end up playing out, even if it is, in their home stadium, right? Like I don't even care. I think that we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I do too, man. I think the weird thing about Oklahoma, it seems like every game, maybe besides the first one, it seems like they're kind of like a streaky team. Like I know, I think against Houston, I don't think they scored in the second half. And in this game was a similar deal. I know, at least going into the fourth quarter, I think they only had like a small amount of yards. Like they had all these yards in the first half. We'll say like they had like 100 and something yards on the ground or whatever, like 200 and something yards total. But then the whole third quarter, they only had like 30 yards total. They're a very streaky team. So I mean, again, going back to Timmy G's point, it could be a game where we hop out on them early. I think it's gonna be important for us to be able to kind of mash the gas. Like Coach Pruitt used to say, freaking put on more steam and continue to put up points and let that defense kind of pin their ears back and run. I think one of the big things that kind of goes unnoticed because they do such a good job, no one really tries them. And we talked about this off air, Ricky Gibson and Jamar McCoy at corner. Just knowing that you can pretty much have those guys locked up on whoever they're on, you can do so much more with the inside of your defense. I think it really opens things up for us. So those guys have been great for us this year. Keep those guys healthy, man, because those guys are the truth.
I never expected McCoy to be that physical. It's what he's displayed. Hey, last week, NC State, Jolie, he was on an island out there, and that's a big man. Yeah. And, hey, he hip tossed that cat to the ground. Nah, bro. This is mine. This ain't happening. I really love the physicality they've been playing with. I want to see what happens when we see some people that have a little bit more at the skill position to really, kind of test our
corners and
safeties. But you know what? They haven't shown me anything so far to be worried.
Yeah.
They haven't. So until I see that, then, what are we talking about?
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. I mean, so they have dudes, right? I mean, this is for sure. They're going to be the most talented team that we played up against at this point in the season. I don't think that it's necessarily close, but I would say I feel like their offensive line is going to be very similar to what NC State's was. It's probably maybe like one step above that, maybe, but it's not going to be that much of a difference. So I feel like really all just based off of how they try to play us. And, I feel like we should be able to get a ton of pressure on them. But I know that one of the biggest points of emphasis for them is going to be to try to establish some sort of a running game early on. And I just don't see them having too much success doing that. Not with that offensive line, not versus our front seven. I just don't see it. So, I think that we're going to be just fine. But, I mean, of course, there are some people who do scare you. If they get hot, I mean, they can put up points quick because Jackson Arnold, he's a daggone baller. Like, he can run. He can throw on the run. He can be very accurate. But like Pete said earlier, he'll also give you one or two every game. We got to maximize off of those opportunities if he does throw it to us, man, and just really make him pay for it. But I definitely feel like we're going to be up for this challenge. This is one that I know Hypo wants. We all know the Hypo wants it, and the whole team wants it for him. I've heard so many people kind of talking about it. Even if they don't fully say it, you can tell where they're going with it. Like players and such, man, look, we know the Hypo wants that. So they're going to be locked in, and, I think that we're going to come out to try to prove a point. And, I wouldn't be surprised if after that game, Tennessee might end up being maybe the number 2 team in the country. I mean, really, if you look at what Georgia did today, do y'all think that they should, or do y'all think that they will still be ranked number 1?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, what do you think the top 10 is going to look at like coming out Monday? Because I don't think Georgia's going to be number 1 anymore.
You think
Texas taking number 1. If you ask me, Texas taking. I didn't see who Ohio State played. School for the Blind is you.
Ole Miss, they play Wake Forest.
No.
Who?
Yes.
No, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, probably School for the Blind.
Yeah, School for the Blind. Big Ten. Whatever.
Probably.
I think Texas is going to be number 1.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's going to drop. I think they're going to be minimum they'll be is 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State moves to 2 and they move to 3.
Yeah.
Tennessee, would we move up? I don't know. Missouri didn't have a great performance, but I mean, let me see here, man. Where was Missouri at?
And Missouri
they were
was
at number 6.
Yeah.
They were at number 6.
Yeah, that was 6.
I wouldn't put Missouri at number 6.
Nah, they don't deserve it, man. I mean, Boston College at home, first year staff. Nobody knows. Yeah. Listen, there's no one outside of Boston College fans or people who cover, whatever conference that they're even in that know one player's name on their entire team.
Dude, nobody, you're number 6, and you struggled with the number. They were number 25, were they not? Or they 24? I think so. 25 or 24. And bro, they gave you more than you wanted, and you know it. Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We will see, but I think that Texas number 1, maybe Ohio State too, but they had a bye, so I don't know. There could be a situation where, like you said, maybe Georgia's 2, or maybe even Ole Miss, because Ole Miss they've looked really, really good. I know they haven't really played anybody, but Wake Forest is not that bad of a team, and I mean they blew them out. So, but yeah, I would say Tennessee might end up being top 5 heading into this game. So we'll see how the team kind of handles all of that. We've got a chat right here from Mucho Boomin. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel, Mucho. And he or she is saying that if we can block them, we can beat them. Go Big Orange. I think so. And I don't think that there is a team. I haven't seen that one team that I feel like, man, there's no way that we're going to be able to hold up versus
wide open
either side.
It's wide open this year. Yeah. It's wide open. No team has looked just ultra dominant. In my opinion. Even Texas. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've looked good. Honestly, if you want to go by eye test, the 2 teams that have looked the best so far, Texas, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Well, hey, listen. I'm just gonna say them daggum Gamecocks, they look way better. Like they actually look pretty good. They've got some dudes. All right. And I mean, I don't know how good LSU actually is.
That's the thing,
man. They looked
terrible.
Bigger. Yeah. I mean, they looked a lot better than LSU did. They're a team that, I mean, they've got Ole Miss coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna watch that one real close. I think that they match up well with Ole Miss. So Ole Miss might end up falling in that one. I'm trying to think who else. I think that they got Mizzou. They got Texas A&M. They had somebody else that I tried to bookmark, but I don't remember what it is. But they will make some noise though, for sure.
South Carolina,
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Bro, they had game day at their place. When's the last time that's happened? Like,
I don't know if it's ever happened. probably like Clowny days. You know what I'm saying? It happened.
You know what one of my favorite moments of the day was watching them kids come down, getting ready to rush the field. And then, there's your hopes and dreams. No more.
Hey, I was so happy that they lost, man, because I can't stand Beamer. I can't stand him at all. But I will give him credit. I don't know what they're doing, but the way that they turned that team around, I mean, they're definitely cheating. There's some sort of cheating involved with that because I've never seen a team turn around that quick ever. I mean, in anything, I've never seen any sort of a turnaround like that ever. So. Yeah, but I think that they will. I think that they'll upset some folks. And if their starting quarterback didn't go down, they probably would have won that game by 2 or 3 touchdowns for real.
Mm-hmm. South Carolina's schedule does not look very promising for them.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule.
That next week they got a cupcake. They've got Akron. Then they have
Ole Miss.
And
I think that they can beat Ole Miss.
Maybe. I mean, because
I don't know about Bama, but I think that they could beat Ole Miss. I could see them matching up very well with them. I could. That'll be Ole Miss's first real test. So
maybe
we'll see. Where is it at?
That's I can't tell by looking at it
Okay.
right here. Let me see here. It doesn't. I don't. I can't tell.
I think
can't
Ole
tell
Miss
by
has
the way
a
they got
good
it
D
played
line
out.
this year. So
I think they play Ole Miss at home.
Oh
so
man,
that's
see,
South
yeah,
Carolina.
I think that one could get really sticky, especially because when I'm watching Ole Miss, they don't like to run the ball. I mean, they throw the ball a lot. A lot, and I think it's too much. And South Carolina's D line,
Hey, those guys pin their ears back, man. If you tell those guys that they're not running the ball and you can pin your ears back, they're going to come after you. What was the one kid that had he's been just flashing past
Dylan
Stewart. Yeah. So you know what? I didn't even really notice him today, but the other one, I can't think of his name now. I always forget his name.
Kennard. His last name's Kennard.
Yeah, dude.
He was the one that almost won it for him and also lost it for him at the exact same time.
Yeah,
he got that roughing call on the quarterback when it should have been a pick six.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like,
man, he is a dude. But so anyway, we'll see, man. I definitely think that things are still very wide open. Yeah, it's hard to have a real grasp on this stuff until I would say maybe 2 more weeks, y'all. In 2 more weeks, we should know. And unfortunately, we're gonna have a bye. But I think that things should start to kind of balance out, and we'll be able to, clear out all of the smoke and tell who's who. But I do feel like Tennessee is definitely up there. Texas is definitely up there. Just talking about SEC teams.
It may have been a deal where, kind of like you said, Timmy G, like there's not really a team that's really heads and shoulders above the rest. It may just be all about matchups when we talk about playoffs. It may be like who matches up best with who. And I mean, pretty much, there's probably like 6 or 7 teams there at the top that could all kind of beat each other, just depending on the matchup. Like Miami's another team you can kind of throw in there as a team that, I mean, their O-line is legit. It
is.
Who did that? Florida. I mean, Florida was kind of getting a little bit of pressure on A&M today. Again, like we're still trying to see who's who, but Miami's O-line looks legit. Cam Ward's a guy that can make plays for you. They got a nice running back. The defense looks. I was really impressed with Miami's DBs. I mean, I think they might have some of the best DBs in the country. So that's a team that may match up well with us, just in terms of being able to maybe they can man up on the back end. So I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be probably the wildest year we've had in a long time. So I'm excited about it, man.
But I tell you what, that's why it excites me so much, because from what I've seen from Tennessee, I feel like we're probably one of the most complete teams out there. I haven't watched enough of Texas to know. Like, are they running the ball down people's throats like we are? Are they doing all that? I don't know.
Pretty balanced.
Yeah,
Texas is very balanced, man. Texas is very, very balanced. I would say that they're probably. I think what scares you maybe the most about Texas is their passing game. Because they're going to spread the whole field out, and then they kind of like run those boots and, all that different type of action off of their running game. I think that our running game is going to be more dominant than Texas's run game is. But, I mean, I think that we are the best 2 teams. I mean, maybe you could throw the Buckeyes in there, but I think that, we would be the most 3 dominant teams that I've watched so far. They just can do pretty much anything. Now, Ohio State really, I mean, I think that they're just like a tier under it, because there's still some stuff that they do that I'm not too impressed with, especially talking about like their defense. Their pass rush isn't as good as it should be, especially second guys, third string guys. And I'm not overly impressed with their run defense either. So, I still think they've got a few things to kind of get cleaned up there. But yeah, I mean, dude, it is so wide open at this point. We'll see what happens over these next couple of weeks, but I'm excited to go ahead and dive into the rest of this film and get that out for y'all tomorrow. Just all of my thoughts on everything, but I think that we got a really good shot versus Oklahoma. That was really where I was going with all of that. Just talking about all these other teams, I think that we've got a good shot versus them. We'll see what we do coming out of the bye. If we can beat Oklahoma, then we got Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? Arkansas, they didn't look great today, but they found a way to win. Where are they going to be at? You know what I mean? Especially if they lose in our bye week, will they, have lost some confidence? But what if they win? Will they have gained some confidence? I know I'm looking way ahead, but that's kind of where I'm at with it, y'all. I don't, I don't see too much real competition for about a month.
Here's a big question for heading into next week for me. Do the Vols keep their, what is it now, going on 4-game streak of not giving up a touchdown? Does that survive through the Oklahoma week?
Well, if it does, we're going to jump through the rankings. Hey, I
Yeah,
promise
yeah.
you, if we go to
Yeah.
Norman and keep them scoreless, we don't let them score a touchdown. They're like the media loves a good story, and they're going to run with that. And we're like, it's going to be a thing, and they're going to play that up for that Alabama game and try to get all the ratings they can. Like we go through that game, and then oh my Lord, man, it'll be wild.
It'll be bonkers.
Yeah,
be wild.
Yep. Yep. So we have a whole lot of stuff to look forward to. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, y'all, because it is getting late. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. And like I said, man, I will be back tomorrow with my thoughts just after watching film and all of that good stuff. We'll talk about our game, you know, our Vols, and we'll also talk about Oklahoma, and we'll start to kind of dive into those matchups. We'll go back to the normal 1s and 2s, starting off on Monday. Y'all already know how that goes. But listen, we appreciate y'all support so much. Please do us a major favor before y'all leave up out the door. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We will see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.